Evening, and welcome to you all from this beautiful city of Paris, France. Welcome to the closing session of the Generation Equality Forum. It is my great pleasure to be your moderator for this evening. My name is Lopa Banerjee, and I am the Executive Coordinator of the Generation Equality Forum for UN Women. This has been a journey 2 years and more in the making, with a sea of diverse stakeholders across generations, bringing us to this moment of triumph, gratitude, and promise. This unprecedented moment of $40 billion of new investment in gender equality. And because we are in Paris, France, I am going to use this metaphor. Not old wine in new bottles, but new wine. New investments across governments, the private sector, international financial institutions, philanthropic organizations, and UN agencies, together with civil society and youth organizations, committing to collective advocacy and shared action and mutual accountability for gender equality, to implement at last the overdue commitments of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and the Sustainable Development Goals. How did we get to this culmination point? What did we do differently? And how do we make sure that we stay the course to action? I am excited to have this conversation with a set of leaders who have been part of the Generation Equality Forum journey since its inception. We have 30 minutes for this conversation, and so I will ask my dynamic panelists in the studio and online to keep their interventions brief so we can have a collective conversation and we can have as much excitement as we want to generate, and as much as is generated when you have fierce feminists across the world in a collective conversation. So to kick off, I am going to start with the visionary whose bold ambition led to the Generation Equality Forum journey. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, Executive Director of UN Women. Edie to us all. Edie, you wanted the world to jump together to bring down the walls of patriarchy for the Generation Equality Forum. Has that happened? Have your aspirations been met?
Definitely, Lopa. I have seen the world jump together, shake the world of patriarchy. They have not all collapsed, but they are in bad shape. And I think that we can only get better from here. And I'm most grateful for the support that we've received from everyone who have contributed the $40 billion US. Our own member states has given us 21 US. Private sector has given us $13 billion. The philanthropists have given us $4.5 US, and the UN has given us $1.3 billion. And civil society, youth and adolescent girls has given us commitment, and amazing passion and advocacy, which this process could not survive without. So I am thankful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Executive Director. And let me now turn to the world. Nyaradzai Gumbons-Banda, you are a feminist activist and the African Union Goodwill Ambassador to end early marriage. You have been part of the generation equality journey from the start. What have we done differently? How have we come to this point, and what lies ahead? How do we break the remaining walls of patriarchy that Phumzile referred to? Nyaradzai, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and congratulations. What we have done differently is to give meaning to the notion which was in the Beijing Declaration, which was intergenerational, and ensure that girls and young women are part of the conversation. But also it's about leadership. Let me embrace you, my sister Phumzile and Lopa and other colleagues. It's about leadership. Change in documents that happen unless leaders are willing, committed to drive the change. So that, for me, is the critical piece to make this, but also government. And I feel that what we have done differently is to make the commitment now the 40 billion, but the accompaniment of the two to ensure that these funds reach to girls and women in rural areas like me, that is not tinkering on the margins of patriarchy, but is transforming patriarchy, and that is not for the present, but for the future. That, for me, and the courageous conversation on issues like SRHR, comprehensive sexuality education, and addressing the new visa in rural areas, lack of access to technology, which is doing participation. That is what we've done differently, enabling young women as a center. Thank you, Lopa.
Thank you, Nyaradzai. And Minister Elizabeth Moreno, Minister for Gender Equality, Diversity and Equal Opportunities for France. Your country raised its hand more than 2 years ago to co-host this incredible multi-stakeholder global inflection point for gender equality, as Nyaradzai said, not to tinker on the edges of patriarchy, but to really shake it to its core. And here we are, after COVID. It is no small miracle for us to be here at this point. How do you feel, and what more do you want?
I wish I had enough words to tell you how emotional I am at the end of these 3 absolutely amazing days. You know, I was 25 years old when the Forum of Beijing happened, and I remember the hope I had as a young woman to see the world changing. And 26 years later, I can say that, yes, my situation is better than the one of my mother and the one of my grandmother, for sure. But still, we have progress to make, definitely, and particularly after this pandemic. And we have, thanks to UN Women, thanks to Mexico, thanks to a president who is a feminist president and decided that gender equality will be at the heart of his mandate, we are here together. And for some people, it's the first international travel since the pandemic. So you can imagine all the human touch we have had together. And I have seen powerful women. I have seen young and old women. I have seen committed states. I have seen committed private organizations. And these $40 billion is just a gift, and we have to make the most of it. And you know, la crise sanitaire a eu un impact absolument terrible. 11 millions de filles qui ne pourront plus aller à l'école, 47 millions de femmes supplémentaires qui vont vivre dans la pauvreté, 12 millions de femmes qui n'ont pas eu accès à la contraception. Et on voit partout dans le monde ce conservatisme qui est en train de monter et qui menace les droits des femmes partout dans le monde. Alors ce forum est une impulsion nécessaire et indispensable pour accélérer la progression des droits des femmes partout dans le monde. Et maintenant que nous avons cet argent, et je sais que ONU Femmes va faire le nécessaire pour qu'on sache exactement comment l'utiliser, eh bien il nous faut un plan d'action précis, clair, pragmatique et différent, parce que je pense qu'il y aura un avant FGE et un après FGE. Et nous, la France, nous prenons des engagements concrets, nous allons réduire les violences faites aux femmes, nous allons promouvoir l'émancipation économique et nous allons renforcer l'accès aux droits. Comme le disait Hillary Clinton mercredi dernier, il ne suffit pas d'avoir des droits, il faut que les femmes aient le pouvoir d'exercer ces droits. La période que nous traversons est historique et elle va laisser des traces pendant des décennies. On va avoir une économie mondiale en récession, on va avoir 100 millions de personnes dans une extrême pauvreté et tous les enjeux sont des enjeux climatiques, alimentaires et sécuritaires. Les femmes vont en être touchées par tous ces enjeux. Et ce que je veux, c'est rendre hommage à Dr. Phumzile with these Ubuntu words that says, I am who I am because of who we are all together. And I wish that every single woman and girl in the world may be who she wants to be and become who she wants to become. And may them live their life fully.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you so much. And with that, to live your life fully. Celine Ozunaldem, you are a young activist. To live your life fully, what drew you to the Generation Equality Forum and what will keep you strong so that you and others like you can live your lives fully? Celine.
Diverse Forum has certainly not been achieved before. I would say one of the top influencing factors about why now is that within the process, with the publishment of the Young Feminist Manifesto, a power analysis was incorporated throughout the Generation Equality Forum and actually establishing governance structures and processes which were followed by concrete measures that were effective to counter power imbalances and lead to a more equal and fairer distribution and sharing power. Again, not giving power, but sharing power. Another point I would like to raise is acknowledging the fine line between adolescence and youth was a very important case in Generation Equality Forum Paris. As an adolescent girl myself, I have encountered obstacles regarding meaningful engagement, since we may be grouped with youth without careful thought, extra specific needs and concerns. Again, speaking for the Generation Equality Forum Paris, this fine line was well recognized, contributing to great results. Let me give you an example of this. As Adolescent Girls Planning Group, we started working on the establishment of an independent Adolescent Girl Advisory Body directly to the Action Coalition, consisting of 12 girl representatives, including myself, of Latin America, Europe and Central Asia, North America, Africa, and the Arab states. We have been meeting every week for the past 9 months. Despite it was a school period, we wanted our voice, agency, and activism to be recognized. We consulted with girls from all over the world with more than 120 countries over 9 months through 8 global consultations. More than 1,000 girls in all their diversity attended the different consultations. We met with UN Women Executive Director several times and presented our findings and demands. We advocated for actions that are targeted at girls to be included in the Action Coalition and subsequently into the blueprint.
Thank you, Celine. Furthermore, we're out of time. Thank you, Celine. Thank you so much for your passion for your leadership. And let me turn to to Nadine Gassman, President in Mujeres, Mexico. You were personally, Nadine, a midwife to this idea of the Generation Equality Forum, and your country was the first country to host the first World Conference on Women back in 1975. What do you feel from that moment to now?
No, but I have to start saying that for the government of Mexico, it has been an honor to be a co-organizer with France, with UN Women, with the youth and civil society of this fantastic idea. We really put at the center from the beginning the agency and the importance of civil society. We wanted to hear their voices. We wanted to be a space for civil society, for the feminist movement, and for the young people to really address the imperatives of our times. And that was before COVID, so it became even more important. We reached the objectives. We got where we wanted to be, and we got not just the resources, but the commitments. And our government, myself, and the Institute are totally committed to follow up on what we're doing. In the framework of the Action Coalition, the Global Alliance of Care was kicked off in Mexico. It has now 39 members, states, civil society, private sector, philanthropy, and we are pushing an agenda that is transformative, that is going to break completely the walls of patriarchy.
Thank you, Nadine. And over to you, Rosita Najmi, Head of Global Social Innovation, PayPal. One of the most audacious aspects of the forum has been the partnerships that we have forged with the private sector for critical action backed by investment. Tell us about your leadership in the forum and what will keep you galvanized for change.
Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this conversation. It's been an exhilarating process for us to learn from and collaborate with all the different stakeholders that have been a part of this process. I think looking forward, in order to really make these commitments stick, we need to be data-driven and outcome-focused. We have a lot of money, but where we put this money is going to be critical in terms of not getting distracted by what's shiny or easy to fund, but to really put the money where the evidence base is, where we know there's promise and where there's outcomes ahead. When I think about the future and what we need to be mindful of, I think about how fragile gender equality is. We saw what happened with COVID. And so it's not about just making this progress, it's about maintaining it and constantly checking it. 5 years ago when PayPal closed its pay equity gap, we didn't just close it and move on. 3 times a year, every year since we closed the pay equity gap, we check on it. And we make sure that this gap remains closed. And so you'll notice in one of the commitments that we made, we reflected this commitment of not just achieving a progress, but making sure that it's maintained. And similarly, as we think about the potential of silver bullets, technology clearly has a lot of promise. But we have to be mindful, as we heard from the Secretary General in the opening ceremonies, talk about both the benefits and the risks. And so again, we have to be constantly checking, rechecking, and course correcting. And one way to do that, particularly with technology, is to make sure that women are part of not just using the technology, but also creating the technology and the innovation to make sure we're eliminating any chance of bias. And finally, I would offer that we should think about all types of capital and all sources of capital. And as we constructed our commitments, we took that very seriously to look beyond our financial capital and think about human capital, network capital, intellectual capital. What's the role of our employees? What's the power of and scale of our platform? And how can our intellectual capital of our data and products be of service to this goal of gender equality around the world?
Thank you so much, Rosita. And with that, let me turn to Amani Aruri, who is a member of the Generation Equality Youth Task Force. Very quickly, Amani, we are in a breathless race for time, just as we are in this breathless race for equality. Over to you, Amani. Very quickly, what will make you continue as flag bearer for the forum going forward?
I can't do anything. Sorry.
We hear you, Amani. Go ahead.
I can't hear.
You can't hear. I'm sorry, Amani. If the technical team may have to come back to you. Let me move on to the next speaker, Sharon Bhagwan Rolls. You are a member of the Civil Society Advisory Group for the Generation Equality Forum and an activist for the Women, Peace and Security agenda for many years. What has inspired you to this point, and what will keep your leadership strong going forward? Very, very quickly, Sharon.
So I had some difficulty, but I believe you've come across to me, Lopa, so greetings from Fiji. Generation Equality Forum has really been aware that the journey ahead, we must just continue to dismantle power imbalances, to amplify the voices of the most impacted by global inequalities and the least heard in international spaces. And this includes young women, women with disabilities, women from rural and island communities, that we must all be playing a meaningful and central role in decision-making and agenda-setting processes via more accessible, appropriate information, communication, and political commitments. What does this mean? We must enhance the multi-stakeholder process of Generation Equality Forum, not just at UNHQ level, but in our local communities. We must model the resourcing around feminist funding models. We must build on the diversity of coalitions and networks, because we have multiple socio-economic political challenges that need to be addressed as a result of the commitments. As members of the global feminist and women's rights movement, our expectations are high. As Pacific feminists, we're weaving our mats, we're creating our spaces, but it's time to redesign the table so that women, girls, and gender diverse people are shifting the power, Lopa.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Let me see if we can get back to Amani for the closing of this session. Amani, you may have the last word on what brought you here and what will keep you going forward. Amani, can you hear us and come in? Can you hear us and speak with us, Amani? All right. I'm sorry, Amani. I'm sorry. Let's go to Celine. And so we have the last word from our fierce youth leaders. Celine?
I'd like to use this as an opportunity, please, to thank the one and only Edie for everything she has done for adolescents. From architecting the inclusivity, diversity policies within UN Women, and meaning engagement actions she has committed to, Madame Phumzile's legacy is creating an environment where we can all be our best and do our best work. It has been an absolute honor to work with the UN Women under your leadership and guidance. Thank you for always demonstrating resilience and positivity while consistently motivating the Adolescent Girls Planning Group team to reach more, inspire more, and empower more. You have attended to countless of our global sessions, listened to adolescent girls' ideas, needs, and responding to our demands, guiding us with concrete action steps we can take, and encouraging us to make gender equality a reality. You have an incredible and inspirational legacy behind.
Thank you,
As the leaders of today and tomorrow, we are incredibly excited to see what is ahead of us.
Thank you so much, Celine. And now we have a surprise for you, Madam Executive Director. A tribute to your leadership that has meant so much to so many feminists and women and girls around the world. Can we have the video, please?
Thank you for being a champion for civil society.
Yeah, she's going to watch it.
Thank you for really being true to yourself and representing feminist and women's rights in a way that only UN women can.
Thank you for 8 years of leadership with courage. Like a giraffe, you held your head high, leading the women's agenda.
Abela, this word means a lot to both of us. It's about solidarity, it's about sisterhood, it's about support to African women.
On behalf of the ACT Alliance, I want to express our appreciation of her deep understanding of the importance and the role faith actors can play in achieving gender justice.
Women living with HIV are thanking her for her support.
Thank you, Phumzile. You have always valued feminist civil society, and you have always lifted up the voices of those who are most marginalized, including LGBTIQ people.
I want to send you my best wishes, my admiration, and my hope that we will keep in touch.
We wish her good health, and we know that a soldier never retires because she still and will always be an activist holding up the women's issues and not relenting. Thank you very much, Mama Phumzile, for your services. We really appreciate it. All the way from Cameroon.
We are Generation Equality because of you.
And we have the great pleasure of welcoming the Minister of Foreign Affairs of France, Jean-Yves Le Drian, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Mexico, Marcelo Ebrard, and the Executive Director of UN Women, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. Minister Le Drian, the floor is yours.
Merci. Je voudrais d'abord dire à Phumzile toute notre admiration et lui souhaiter un bon vent pour ses nouveaux engagements. Et je voudrais saluer la présence à mes côtés de mon ami Marcelo Ebrard et saluer d'ici, elle n'est pas là, Elisabeth Moreno qui a beaucoup œuvré pour la réussite auprès de ses collaborateurs et en particulier de Delphine O pour la réussite de cet grand événement. Je crois qu'on peut dire que plus d'un quart de siècle après la conférence de Pékin, nous venons de remettre les droits des femmes et des filles au cœur de l'agenda international. Au cours de ces 3 jours, des engagements concrets et ambitieux ont été pris, qui sont autant de jalons vers l'égalité. Au cours de ces 3 jours, nous avons jeté les bases d'un nouveau multilatéralisme féministe, en fédérant toutes les volontés et toutes les énergies, celles des États, des organisations internationales, des associations du secteur privé, car ce sujet, c'est l'affaire de tous. Au cours de ces 3 jours, nous avons envoyé un message très clair aux forces de régression qui, partout dans le monde, sur tous les continents, s'en prennent à ces droits humains fondamentaux que sont les droits des femmes, et nous ne l'acceptons pas. Et l'élan du Forum Génération Égalité doit impérativement se poursuivre. Et vous pouvez compter sur la France pour continuer ce travail à vos côtés en concrétisant les engagements que nous avons pris. S'agissant de la France, ce sont d'abord des engagements qui concernent les jeunes générations en faveur de l'éducation. L'éducation, en particulier l'éducation des filles, est une priorité forte de notre action à laquelle le président Macron est très attaché et la France y consacre chaque année plus d'1 milliard d'euros parce qu'accéder à une éducation de qualité est un droit en soi mais aussi un levier d'action essentiel sur beaucoup de sujets. Agir pour l'éducation, c'est agir pour la santé, pour la nutrition, c'est lutter contre les violences fondées sur le genre, c'est prévenir les grossesses précoces, les mariages d'enfants, c'est créer les conditions de l'insertion économique, de l'épanouissement social, de la participation citoyenne. de chacun. C'est la condition fondamentale de l'émancipation et nous nous mobiliserons beaucoup pour le partenariat mondial pour l'éducation à travers une contribution de 333 millions d'euros sur 5 ans, dont 50% seront consacrés à l'éducation des filles et à l'éducation des garçons à l'égalité. Puis nos engagements, j'ai eu l'occasion de le dire dans la journée déjà, nous le poursuivrons également en restant investis au sein de la coalition d'action pour les droits et la santé sexuelle et reproductive. Nous allons consacrer 100 millions d'euros aux batailles absolument décisives pour cette coalition, en particulier en appuyant les initiatives en faveur de l'accès à l'avortement ou à l'éducation à la santé. Enfin, nous continuerons partout à porter notre diplomatie féministe sur le terrain comme dans toutes les enceintes multilatérales. Nous œuvrerons en faveur de la promotion et de l'universalisation de la Convention d'Istanbul. Nous porterons également notre engagement dans la lutte contre les violences faites aux femmes aux Nations Unies et nous appelons à la pleine mise en œuvre de l'agenda Femmes, Paix et Sécurité. Poursuivre sur notre lancée, ce sera aussi veiller à ce que les militantes et activistes qui incarnent cette génération égalité aient toujours une place à la table de discussion et à ce que leur voix soit entendue. Je pense aux défenseurs des droits qui se battent partout dans le monde, trop souvent au péril de leur vie. Je pense aux jeunes femmes qui, au nom de leurs droits, s'engagent courageusement pour faire bouger les lignes. Je pense aux mouvements et aux associations féministes qui jouent un rôle absolument indispensable avec une détermination admirable mais qui souvent n'ont pas les moyens d'agir et nous devons y remédier. C'est d'autant plus important tout cela que la crise pandémique met en péril les progrès accomplis et appelle à un sursaut collectif dans la durée. Ce sursaut, c'est notre responsabilité à nous toutes et à nous tous. Une responsabilité historique que nous avons désormais en partage et qui engage l'avenir de chacun et chacune dans nos sociétés du futur. Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Minister. And Minister Ebrard, the Generation Equality Forum in Mexico launched the group of states for the Friends of Gender Equality. What is that going to be doing for the Generation Equality Forum and for this energized multilateral agenda going forward? The floor is yours, Minister.
Muchas gracias. Bueno, un saludo a todos los que nos están viendo. Saludo al ministro Ledria, gran amigo. Phumzile, muchas felicidades por todo lo que has hecho. Bueno, tenemos una red, estamos aquí, una red de países, se propuso precisamente porque la lucha por los derechos de las mujeres, la igualdad de las mujeres, de las niñas, ahora es una lucha en la que hay diferentes posiciones. Nosotros estamos en la posición avanzada, en la posición que está Francia, en la posición que está la ONU, en la posición que están muchos países, pero hay otros movimientos que están en contra. ¿Por qué lanzamos una alianza de países en favor de esta causa? Porque es una causa política. Es una causa política que empieza en nuestra imaginación, nuestra cultura, la lucha por no solo por las leyes, sino las grandes transformaciones de nuestra sociedad. En esa alianza ya tenemos más de 20 países. Esperamos que desde el lanzamiento que fue en México en el mes de marzo, siga creciendo como ha estado creciendo hasta ahora. Este foro que hemos tenido ahora en París es una gran confirmación de que estamos en la ruta correcta, estamos entusiasmados. Yo estaba pensando hace un momento que en 2008, cuando en la Ciudad de México lanzamos la primera lucha para lograr la interrupción legal del embarazo, hace 12 años, se veía como algo imposible, casi era una cosa muy difícil de lograr, muy alto el requerimiento para lograrlo en una sociedad católica, en una sociedad más conservadora. Bueno, se logró. Y si vemos todo lo que se ha logrado entre todos, desde esos años hasta ahora, el mensaje muy poderoso es de optimismo y de compromiso. Sigamos adelante. México va a apoyar la Alianza Global de Cuidados, que ya escuchamos, el Pacto sobre la Mujer, la Paz, la Seguridad y la Acción Humanitaria. Estamos promoviendo una alianza regional para digitalizar especialmente a las mujeres de América Latina y el Caribe, porque hay una brecha muy grande que se está abriendo. Vamos a ratificar el convenio 190 de la OIT. Desde luego, el grupo de amigos por la igualdad de género que ya se mencionó, que son ahora 20 países ya, vamos muy de cerca con Francia también en esta causa. Y al final decir, nunca nos hemos dado por vencidos. No lo haremos ahora, vamos a seguir adelante y vamos a triunfar. No damos por sentado que las causas que nos animan hoy, que es la libertad y la dignidad de las personas, la causa por las mujeres es la causa de todos, está dado por sí, es algo que tenemos que luchar por él, por lograrlo, por alcanzarlo. Pero este foro lo que nos dice es que lo podemos lograr y lo vamos a hacer. Con ejemplos y conducción como la que ha tenido Phumzile ahora en ONU Mujeres, que ha sido para nosotros una causa siempre de inspiración. Y termino diciendo muchas gracias a Francia por todo el respaldo y el compromiso del presidente Macron y del canciller Le Drian. Felicidades.
Thank you, Ministers. Thank you very much. Madam Executive Director, you are the convener of the Generation Equality Forum. What is UN Women's commitment to the way forward, to the partnerships, to the investments, to the commitments that stakeholders have made, and most of all, to the young people who have joined this journey with us?
Thank you so much, Lopa. Firstly, thank you to the wonderful videos that you started with all the nice things that you were saying about me and about UN Women. We are eternally grateful for this appreciation. But also, during the few days that we have been here, few people have been calling me aside wanting to know what's going to happen to these resources. Let me tell you first, UN Women is not rich, but UN Women is much better than what it was. The resources that have been put forward by the many commitment makers that were here today will go to grassroots organizations. At the grassroots organizations in community, they will go to member states who need to implement programs that will address women and girls that are facing troubles. They will also go to the UN agencies who have programs that must be scaled up and taken to a much larger scale. And it is not only UN Women, because we don't have all the skills in UN Women to implement what is needed. So it is a whole UN family coming together and taking this forward. It is civil society, it is private sector, it is our bosses, the member states, that will take it forward. So Mexico and France, I am eternally grateful to you for having raised your hands. You didn't know what we were doing, but you had faith in us. And you gave us a chance, you opened your countries, and today, look at what we've been able to do. So I want to thank you and thank you profusely. And lastly, the pandemic. It could have derailed us, but you did not give up. As a result of the pandemic, we needed generation equality more. Because of the pandemic, you pushed even harder. And of course, you embraced young people. We have youth and adolescents who are leading from the front, who are doing wonderful things. They will stay on your shoulders and my shoulders. They will look much far than we can look. And in them, this is a new generation. What was born in Beijing, people like me, knees and backache, we are not able to go forward. But these young people are going to do it for us. And this is the new birth of a new generation, new leadership for women. And we thank them for everything that they've done in these last few days. And UN Women staff, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because not even a single of you was not touched by this event. You did work beautifully together with the staff of Mexico and the staff of France. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ministers. Thank you, Executive Director. And thank you to all of you who have joined us in this journey for the last 2 years, in Mexico earlier this year, and in Paris over the last 3 days. We know that many of you who wanted to join have not been able to do so. We know that you are part of this journey and you will continue. So to all of the fierce feminists out there, the more than 44,000 who have joined this Generation Equality Forum in Paris, but even beyond that, the young people, the groups that have been marginalized, the Afro-descendants, the LGBTIQ+ communities, the indigenous groups, the grassroots groups, and all of you who have wanted to be part of this. We are with you. We will try harder next time. But the next 5 years is a journey that we will walk on together. But I cannot end this glorious journey at this point, because this is not an end. This is both a culmination and a prelude. And for that prelude to continue, I have to express the most profound gratitude to a number of people who are not in this room today. Let me start with Ambassador Delphine O, Secretary General of the Forum in France and her teams. Ambassador Yannarit Morgan, Executive Secretary of the Forum in Mexico and her teams. And to the indefatigable feminists at UN Women, to Sarah Hendricks and Hannah Christiansdottir, without whose work and leading and shaping the action coalitions, we would not be here. To Christine Lerf, the head of the Generation Equality Forum Secretariat at UN Women, and the fierce team of colleagues that she led, to the Action Coalition Secretariat colleagues and UN Women policy chiefs, to Vivek Rai and Rita Muyambo in the Civil Society Division for their amazing work supporting civil society and youth activists across the world. To Julien Pelot, in the head of the Executive Director's Office, without whose sage voice we would not be here. To the UN Women Deputy Executive Directors, Osa Rainier and Anita Bhatia, thank you for your leadership. To all our regional directors, our country offices, and the entire UN Women ecosystem. You have brought us thus far, and you will take us onward. And to the world of activists and advocates and feministas out there, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is your journey, your triumph, and your path ahead. Today ends, but tomorrow starts now. Onward. Thank you.
Thank you. Super.